he's getting it now.
Hey everyone, welcome to Heavy Metal Customs. This will be part 4 of our 68 Mustang fastback conversion and pretty much just complete restoration. We're going to make this thing just totally awesome. And where we're at today is I've got more parts in. I'll show you all that in a minute. And we've got to get the rear frame rails, get all this stuff mocked up and clamped, and do a lot of measuring. But that's a lot to do. Let me show you what all parts did come in. Alright, we got our inner structure, as you can see, for the fastback. And there's a quarter panel over there. And same over here, there's a quarter. And there's our inner structure here. I know, that's a big piece. I had fun unloading this by myself. Then we got the rear frame rails. We'll get them put in first. We got a roof. I haven't taken it out of the box. I'm afraid I'm going to drop it. And that's our cowl panel that we already had. But we have this rear brace. We got the roof brace. That's the rear. This panel goes behind the rear window, between the rear window and the trunk. This is our front roof brace. And then of course our rear panel, back up far enough, yeah, you can see that. Got some seam sealer and some miscellaneous items as well. And we're only waiting for a couple more items to come in, and I think they're supposed to be here tomorrow. So we have plenty of parts, we just need to get them installed. That's our part. Order them's the easy part. So what I'm going to do first, I think, is I need to get them rear frame rails installed. And as you've seen, them were primed black. That's not the weld-through primer. So I have to do some cleanup on them. I'll do some careful measuring, cut off the rear frame rail where it needs to be, and I'll just get them welded in. And I'll be using my trunk pan as a guide for that, because that tells us exactly where they're supposed to be. But let's hit that first. I've got them measured and cut. And important thing here, when you're putting in like frame rail pieces like this, remember these frame rails right here at the back, they go up inside of here. So make sure you tap them up in there. And that's what I've done. I tapped them up in there. Just sent my panel on and had my piece here slide down in here. And why did I not weld them in yet? Well, I'm not ready to. We have got to get holes punched in here so that we'll be able to weld through to our body pan. And we do have some already there from previous cuts. But I'm going to take my new hole puncher, show y'all how that cool thing works. We'll get all these holes punched, then we can get this together. All right, just picked this thing up at Harbor Freight. It was like 40 bucks or so. As you see, I've done punched the holes in this one here. These are the holes that I weld through. But basically, just take it, put it on whatever you're punching, and bang. Oh, that was the flanger. Duh. Yeah, you can flange it too. But for our purpose, it's a hole puncher today. There we go. And just get them wherever you think you need to get them. I don't think there's no law on getting these holes punched in a certain place where you need to do it. Just make sure you get some in there is the biggest thing. That so much nicer than having to sit here with a drill and take 3 years to do it. That tool's worth having, guys. All right, we got everything set back in place. Clamp down, because you want to make sure that your floor pan is right against your frame rail. And it is, as you can see, I got plenty of clamps on it. And, big thing, level. I mean, the car's got to be level, right? So, I've got that level, and I've got that going on. That looks really good. I am going to crank up the welder, go ahead and weld the outside parts of that frame piece that we just put on. Then, I'll take all this off one more time, then we'll get in there and weld the inside, and I'm going to put a little extra bracing in there as well. Alright, well, we got all of that done. Rear frame rails installed. Everything fit back like it was supposed to, or close to it. We'll know when we go to put our panels on and get everything lined up. May have to shift the floorboard, firewall, back piece, a little bit back and forth, but we'll get all that done. And that's the reason I'm just using sheet metal screws instead of welding this stuff in right now. Alright, the next step in this process is we have to have inner rocker arms. And what is that? It's a piece of sheet metal that will run the length here. As you see right here, it will start here with a 90, and it covers up all this ugly right here, and goes out and goes barely past the end right there. And there will be a 90 on that end as well. Let me show you what I've got here. Yeah, I couldn't find any to buy that were priced anywhere decent, so I'm going to make my own. Here we go. And I've measured this out. These are supposed to be 75 inches long, so I measured 77. That way we have our inch here for a 90 to bend, and they come up, then all of a sudden they become 6.5 inches. Got to have that little curved piece in there, and of course bend on the end. I've got both of these measured and marked out and ready to go. And I'm going to use that square tubing right there as a guide so I can get a nice straight line, because we're using the plasma cutter for this. Let me get this set up and we'll cut these out and get them ready to rock. Alright, we've got both of them cut out. Now I'm going to start here on this end of them. And like I say, it's 1 inch. We've got to bend it. Pay attention when you're doing this, or you'll bend 2 lefts or 2 rights. You see I have these sitting in here the opposite ways. I'm just getting 2 bends with 1 shot. So I can even bend this so close down here, and they're 90s. Yeah, that looks good there. Now what I'll do, I'll flip it over the other way. And we'll get the other ends bent the opposite direction. There we go. Got their 90s taken care of. Now, we're going to check them for fitment, of course, but I'm going to go ahead and try to get the bead roller out and roll some beads in this to give it a little bit more structural integrity, because they are floppy. Alright guys, this is my bead roller, and you see how floppy this thing is. And the bead roller, it's just an awesome tool. If I can get it started in there. I went ahead and drew me some straight lines on here where I might, if we're lucky, I might keep this thing straight. But I'll show y'all how this puts some rigidity into this piece of metal. This helps if you have somebody else to pull or push or catch the rest of it. And there we go. Yeah, the bead roller helped a lot with the rigidity and actually give it a pretty good look. I've got this one down here. This is the first side I'm trying to put on. Let's go ahead and clamp that one to our outer shell. And I'm going to see if I can get it picked up and set on here and get some clamps on there where we can get a little bit of a fitment. Well then, the rocker fits just fine. I did have to go in here and cut a little tab right there and make that cut out for right there. Besides that, everything else worked good. I've already hit all my edges with the grinder, got it cleaned up. So now, what I'm going to try to do, I think I can just pick this up and set it on there. I got a couple of jacks to hold the bottom of it and see if I can get it up in there enough to get it clamped and just see how this thing starts fitting together. Well, I'm getting it up there. Yeah, I had to use the cherry picker. It's just too much trouble. I can pick it up and set it up there, but there's no way I can hold it and clamp it at the same time. Got the rear brace in. Not 100% sure that's where it goes, but it's helping hold. I'm having trouble with the front brace. Good on this side, but I do not have it clamped on that side. Now at this stage, what I'm going to do is raise the car up a little bit and just start pulling a tape. See how square it is, get our height, because we know that the car itself from left to right is level and it hasn't moved none. That jack hasn't moved none and that one down there hasn't moved none. So the car hasn't moved from the beginning. So yeah, let's just do some measuring and see where we're at. But so far, hey, it's looking like a fastback. Alright guys, doing a little tweaking on this. You can see we're level there. Got the level there. One up front. We shall zoom, there you go. Alright, got her level there. The only thing we're really liking is that it looks, excuse me, like the rear needs to come up just a shade, because we are just a shade out right there. So I'm going to get that squared up and see where that gets us. And I run a diagonal measurement. I run from one of them squares back there up to this spot, exactly that spot right there. And I am a 1/16 of an inch out. So that means this side needs to go forward just a touch, and I mean just a touch. Like a, well, I'm 1/16 out, so this side needs to go forward a 32nd, and that'll get her perfectly square. Well, with a little more moving and measurement, I'm really happy with what we have here. Everything seems like it's going to line up just fine and be a good square fit. Now, the next step is take these side panels off, and I need to get some holes punched in this floor pan and go ahead and get the floor pans welded in exactly where they're going to be. It's a good thing about putting the sides here on. That way you know everything's where it's supposed to be. But I will take measurements again, because I am going to have to take the floor pan loose in order to get holes through there. But let's take it apart and get to welding in all them pans. Alright, well I've got the side panels off, as you can see, and that'll give me a chance to 100% get them inner rockers trimmed up and fitted perfect and welded in. That's going to be a job in itself right there. But like I say, right now, all the floor pans are where they're supposed to be. So I'm going to go through here, and I got all the holes punched out. So now it's just time for a lot of welding. Right, well we got the all the floor pans welded in. Yeah, that's etching primer that we used over our welds. That's what we had. I know it sort of looks crappy, but hey, the welds look good and the floor's not going nowhere. That's the important part. Everything's welded on top, underneath. We actually, I think I over welded a little bit, but there ain't nothing wrong with that. And once this basic shell's together, it's going to get a coat of same color primer all the way around it too. And I wanted to point out, see this right here? This is one of the worst spots on these cars to rust out. So you noticed I took some etching primer and put like 3 coats down in this thing. And Casey's going to hit the parts house, get us some more weldable primer. And he's going to grab us some gloss black paint. We're going to get down in here and paint all this up really nice and get it good and protected, as well as get in there and get it all painted black. Little things like that you can do will make your car last a lot longer. Well, working on these inner rockers. Get around here and I can show you. And yes, I did remember the holder for the seat belt, because the seat belt bolts to the inner rocker. You see I've got these done. All the holes are punched in. Just let the primer dry a little bit. Yeah, this is the weldable weld through primer on the outside. Then I run down the center with that etching primer. Yeah, because I'm about out of weld through. But I at least got enough where I can get this one done. This one I'm working on, see, that's where the hole is, where I'm going to weld that seatbelt holder. And then I'll do a test fit on the other side, clean it, get it where it fits perfect, and then punch holes in that one. But let me give that primer a few more minutes to dry. I'll flip this one over and get it in place, and we'll get this one welded in. And there we go. Got that one welded in. Man, that's a lot of welding. No, I probably don't have to grind them down, but I mean, it's just a nicer look. And if you got a sharp edge, you can get rid of it. But yeah, all them welds held really good. And all them clamps, I used the crap out of them. What I do, I just clamp between every one of them. And then get a couple weld, and keep on going. That way you know they're holding good, and you've done a good job. Alright, well that part's done. Now I got to get on to the other one. I have the seatbelt holder welded in place on that one. Now I just got to get more of the weldable primer so I can get the other one coated and get this one coated really well before I install. I did get the other side done and welded in, as well as got my black that I wanted to get painted. That'll really help protect that and make it last a lot longer. Yeah, I'm happy I took the time to do that and get that taken care of. Yeah, so far so good, guys. Well, everyone, I reckon we're going to call it for this week. We're just out of time. I think we've done really well. Sometimes it doesn't look like a lot was accomplished, but let me tell you, there was a lot accomplished. That was some hours put in this week. A lot of measurements and making 100% sure that this thing is correct, it's square, everything measures out, and everything's level. Now, for next week, you can look forward to, we're going to be putting the body panels together, and actually making it look more like a car instead of just a frame structure. So that'll be cool to do. Well, everyone, I appreciate you watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you learned a little something, who knows. Cool project and just a lot of fun. If y'all would, throw us down some comments. If you're able, hit us up on the super thanks below. Very much appreciated. And please like, share, and subscribe. I want to wish everyone a very happy Easter. Hope you enjoy today. Remember what Easter's all about. Spend some good quality time with your family and such. And just enjoy the day. Again, we appreciate it very much. Until the next one, we hope that everyone has a fantastic day.